Welcome to chapters. Welcome to chapters of a white guy. That is the dead set shittest start of the podcast ever. Welcome to chapters. That's not even the name of the podcast, you dickhead. Welcome to Memoirs of a White Guy, chapter 19. That's what I was supposed to say. Chapters of a White Guy. Actually, that'd be probably better name for the podcast. Anyway, my name is Luke, and I am white. So I'm the white guy that the title refers to. So if you're wondering who the white guy is, hi, it's me. But imagine if I wasn't white this week. Like I was just, like during the week I got some skin pigmentation procedure, and I'd be a fraud. So actually, I don't know if I'd keep the podcast. No, I would. I wouldn't change the name of the podcast. The podcast would still be called Memoirs of a White Guy, even if I was brown, because then people would actually listen to it. So, because let's be honest, no one cares. If you're not white, no one cares what you've got to say. That's just history and racism. So yeah, this is what I do. I hit record, and then I start. I'm like, now I'm going to talk shit for the next 40 minutes, and I'm sorry, sometimes it comes out racist. Sometimes I'm really nice in this podcast. Occasionally, not often, but sometimes. So what happened this week? Saturday, I had Lewis Spears's live podcast. He's a past guest. Gets mentioned far too much on this podcast. I was doing his 50th episode. He did a live podcast in Melbourne, and it was really fun. I was a guest on it, so if you want to go check that out, I was a guest on it for the whole episode. I come in like 10 minutes into it, I think. So, yeah, go check that out if you want to hear more of me talking shit. Actually, here's the difference between, because like his podcast, if you haven't listened to his, they just say horrible shit. Like it's just an hour and a half of like, you thought the start of my podcast was racist. That was like a 2 out of 10 compared to what I like, things that we were all saying on Saturday. So if you want to hear me be awful, go listen to that podcast. It was a lot of fun, and the really cool part was I met a couple of you guys who listened to this podcast, which is really cool. And you can pick the people who listen to my podcast from the people who listens to Lewis's. Like, I mean, they obviously listen to both, but you can really pick the people who listen to mine, because the people who listen to mine, they just fat bird enthusiasts, all of them. Every single person who I've ever met who listens to the podcast goes, bro, have you seen another fat bird? Man, I saw a fat bird. Hey, man, like fat bird. And I'm like, dude, I've talked about fat birds twice, and it's become the shittest in-joke of all time. It's legitimately all anyone ever messages my page about. It's either, hey, man, are you coming to Gold Coast, or are you coming to whatever city? Or, hey, man, seen any fat birds recently? I'm a fat bird guy. Think about that for a second. Half of you probably listen to this podcast because you want to hear another story about a fat bird. My podcast audience is 50% people who are interested in my comedy, 50% fat bird enthusiasts. And it's like a Venn diagram, because let's be honest, 100% of you are fat bird enthusiasts, so they definitely overlap. It's messed up, and honestly, I don't know what to do about it. It's all I get on my Facebook page. Here's one. Just for example, Riley. Hey, mate, you should definitely bring back the bird stories on your podcast. It's every single message. Hey, this one's from Jennifer. Hey, Luke, love your stuff. Any more fat bird stories this week? Haha, can't wait to hear another one soon. How often do you think I just see fat birds? Like, the reason why I talked about it originally was because I was like, holy shit, you never see any fat birds. That's notable, and I should talk about that in the podcast. That was the first fat bird I've seen in 20 years. Okay, that's why I was like, I gotta bring this up. And people just expect now that I live in a suburb full of overweight flying animals. I wish, man, trust me, you don't. Now it's sad because like at work, as you know, I work at the golf club, and all I do now is just look at, like, I've started becoming a bird enthusiast. Like, I don't know the species of the birds. I don't know anything about birds whatsoever. I think people mistake that. People think I'm some kind of bird enthusiast. All I do is I look at a bird and then judge the girth of its stomach and whether or not I think it's clinically obese or not. That is my only knowledge on birds. And that's exactly the way I want to keep it. But here's the thing with the bird stuff, right? in general lately, because there's so much demand on this podcast for more fat bird stories, but I'm not going to make something up. They're like, oh, I saw like a chubby bird, it waddled low. Like, if it's only good if it's an authentic story. But the problem is, I've had a real lack of animal sightings even since the turtle story. Like, occasionally you get the odd kangaroo fight at work, but that's not, they just kick each other. It's no disappearing turtle, it's nothing, like anything, it's no fat bird or magic turtle. So I'm not going to talk about it on the podcast. But yeah, there's just a real, like, I think the problem was I was on a real hot streak with fat birds, and I had the clumsy bird as well. I was on a real animal sighting hot streak, and now it's just completely gone cold. And I've actually I've been thinking about it all week, and I think I've worked out the reason why this is. I'm pretty sure fat birds are extinct. I just think they're like RIP. You don't see them anymore. I mean, 3 weeks ago they were everywhere apparently, but now it's just like, actually one dude sent me a picture on Instagram of a fat bird, but that was like 3 weeks ago. So again, I think we have all the evidence we need to officially say that fat birds are extinct, which sucks, and it's going to become like a Bigfoot thing. Like, in like the next years, over the following years, people are going to be sending like blurry pictures of like what looks like a chubby bird, but it's probably just like a bird in its shadow. And you're like, man, prove that bird's fat. It won't be like, it'll become a conspiracy thing. It'll be like Loch Ness Monster. There'll be one guy out there just like, those dudes who like spent 20 years looking for Nessie, and they're like, no, it's out here, man. Like those dudes who look for like the giant deers, like the dinosaur-sized deers in like Alaska. You're like, bro, they killed millions of years ago. You're like, yeah, we see the footprints. Like, no, someone's fucking with you, okay? Someone's put down like a tin can and then drawn paws around it, and you're an idiot. So yeah, I'm gonna become like one of those guys where I'm just like, for the next 20 years, I'm gonna give up comedy and make it my life mission to bring back the fat bird for you all guys, because the demand is real. You guys have no idea. I mean, you clearly you do, because you guys all want it, which sucks. Another theory I had actually was that instead of them all being extinct, that all the fat birds just weren't beach ready this summer, so they've all gone into hiding. Like they're probably not extinct. Most likely they're just up a tree, body shaming themselves. Like, oh, I'm just not beach ready. Like the seagulls are gonna judge me. Like I get that. So if you're a fat bird out there, it's 2017, so just no one cares. I mean, body image is such a thing of the past. But you know what the problem is? Why these birds feel self-conscious? It's because of those bloody magazines photoshopping all these hawks and pigeons, and that's not a realistic bird body, okay? Not all of them have like ripped muscles on their wings, and it sets unrealistic expectations. I've seen it. National Geographic are part of the problem. David Attenborough documentaries, they're a problem. They only show the elite birds, okay? They don't show a bird with curves. That's what I want to see. Next National Geographic I buy, I want to see a bird with curves. Is that so hard to ask? I just want to see a bit of cellulite on the wings, just a natural looking bird, because I'm sick of, I look at skinny birds and it makes me feel fat, and I'm not even a fucking bird. So how do you reckon the birds are feeling? Okay, there's probably some kookaburra up a tree right now. He's not laughing, okay, because he's feeling very body conscious, and rightly so, because people just leave National Geographics lying around, they pick them out of bins, and then I'd be upset if I saw like some big albatross or some like eagle that was just looked glorious. The one like behind an American flag, and the eagle's just like pissing democracy, and you're just like, oh, like if I was a bird, I'd kill myself. I mean, I'm like, if I was just a normal sparrow or something, I'd be like, oh, I'm never gonna be that. I can't. And that's why I haven't seen any fat birds lately, because they're in hiding. And birds, if you're listening, okay, tweet me. That's a bird joke. Holy shit. I've spent 9 minutes talking about fat birds, and it ended with tweet me. Because it's a social media website, and birds tweet. Holy shit. This podcast is under the comedy section. Very generous. Oh, man. So that's why I haven't been talking about fat birds. I just want to explain myself. I just haven't seen any, and it's not that I'm avoiding talking about them. Trust me, if there was a fat bird story, you guys wouldn't hear the end of it, okay? I'm hoping that this week You know, maybe after this now, there'll be a few more confident birds flying around, not flying around, just waddling around, trying to take flight, flapping their little wings. You know what? I probably didn't help the situation either, because this week I'm being nice to fat birds, but I was going pretty hard. I was body shaming the shit out of fat birds like 4 weeks ago, just absolutely going to town on their flab. Well, I just don't get how a bird can get fat, honestly. Like, you fly everywhere. If I flew everywhere, like, I'll drive to places and be like accumulating fat in the car, because I sometimes eat when I drive, so like I'm literally getting fatter. But if I just like flew everywhere, I'd be a machine. I mean, I wouldn't have to go to the gym. Not like I already go to the gym. I just I just wouldn't feel like I had to. Anyway, now I'm just being self-conscious. I'm gonna hide in a tree now because my body's just not beach ready, and the seagulls are gonna judge me. Anyway, what do I want to talk about? Okay, so fat birds aside, I actually have a pretty good story. So during the week, right? Actually, this whole saga, it's not really a saga. This story starts on Christmas Day, right? So on Christmas, it was very hot. It was like 40 degrees in Melbourne, and at one point throughout the day, I had to go to my car to get sunglasses, I think, and I was looking for them, and in the console in the middle, there was a bit of pawpaw cream, like one of those red tubes, and it was so hot in my car. Like, my car was probably like 45 degrees, it was sitting out in the sun, and I touched a bit of pawpaw tube, and it was so hot that it just exploded. Like, it had melted the plastic, and it exploded, and this pawpaw cream just went everywhere in my console. And it was Christmas, I couldn't be bothered to clean it up, and I don't really keep much stuff in my console. I was like, whatever, I just left it there. But there was a bunch of, it was gross. I know, that's a gross thing to do. I should have cleaned it up, but I just left it there, and it's been there for like 3 weeks. Still there. It's disgusting. I mean, it's just sticky now. But the problem is, I had a bunch of coins, like, probably like $15 at least worth of coins sitting in the console. So they all got covered in pawpaw, and I was like, it's not a problem. I'll just go and eat some turkey, and I forgot about it. And then like 2 weeks later, I looked at my console, and I was like, it's gross. It's still sticky, but now it's like honey. Like, it doesn't smell or anything. It's just sticky, and all these coins are really sticky now. And I was like, man, it's like $15 worth of coins. I'm not just gonna like throw it out. So I was like, how am I gonna get rid of these coins? And I'm like, I'm a pretty smart dude, so I was like, self-serve, okay? Because originally I went to 7-Eleven, bought a Slurpee, just to test it to see if people would notice it, they're sticky, handed over $1 for my large Slurpee, and the guy fucking looked at the coin and looked back at me, and I was like, oh shit, I hope he doesn't think it's jizz. That's all I could think about when he was holding it, and I was like, it's pawpaw, like, not honey, or not, I wasn't doing I didn't shelve the coin, okay? The coin was not up a butthole, just, it's fine, it's pawpaw. And then I was like, sorry, it's sticky, that's all I said. That was all. And then he's like, that's cool. And you know that he was like, he felt ripped off. Because like a sticky coin's probably, a sticky $1 coin, the average probably value of it is probably 40 cents. So it halves and more. It's a worthless piece of shit, a sticky coin. But I was like, the self-serve machines don't know that it's sticky. They just register the size of the coin. So I had to go buy some milk and bread and stuff, and it was only like probably like $6 for what I was buying. But the self-serve checkouts at Safeway have like you can just put as many coins in there until you click pay now. So I stood there for like 3 minutes and just unloaded every single sticky coin that was in my console into the self-serve machine, and it ended up being like $16 or some shit. Then I clicked pay now, and then I'm a genius. It was so good. It's like I'd beaten the system. I was just like, I got one up on society. I felt so good about myself, because then it clicked pay now, and then it spat out a bunch of clean change, non-sticky clean change, and I'm like, you idiot machine, I just got you. I freaking wrecked it. You're a robot. You're supposed to be smarter than me. And you know that the robot was embarrassed. It was probably humiliated. Okay, it didn't even, I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was sitting there going, oh shit, I just got sticky coined. I probably stuffed up the insides, but I just felt so cocky for the rest of the week. I watched that movie, I, Robot, where Will Smith is trying to build these robots. He's like, oh my god, I'm being overpowered by robots. Idiot. Just sticky coin them, okay? If anyone wants any tips on how to successfully fight a robot and win, this is the podcast to come to. Because I'm just like the most confident man on the planet right now. I've just defeated a robot at its own game. Like, that robot specializes in coins and notes and money. And I didn't care. Anyway, so the next day, right, I went back into Safeway because I wanted to laugh at the robot's face. I walked up to self-serve and I was like, good self-serve, alright? You can't even, whatever, I don't have any self-serve slams, but I tried there. Look, I'm not good at roasting self-serve checkouts. It's not one of my key kind of... Anyway, this is not part of the story, me hurling verbal abuse at a self-serve checkout. The point is, I went to get some snacks the next day. Didn't think anything of it. Went to the same self-serve checkout. And I just put in my nice clean coins. I was like, yep, just all these coins now. Hit pay now. And it says, you will receive your change. This is really hard, actually, this part of the story to tell. It served me out $4.80 in sticky coins. I got served my own sticky coins. Back. Right at me. Return serve. Okay, you don't know the shame. No one knows. You cannot fathom the shame of being sticky coined by your own sticky coins. Okay, that is a new level of humiliation. But it's inflicted 100% by me. I set myself up to be sticky coined by going to the same self-serve checkout. But I didn't know they recycled it. I don't know how that shit works, okay? I'm not a robot guy. I know how to beat robots, but I don't know how they work. I just know if you put sticky shit in them, you get one up. And the next day, apparently, they get their revenge. So, you're right. I'm definitely came out even. Although, I still came like $12 up, okay? Because I only got $4 back in sticky coins. But I got wrecked. I got I couldn't believe it. I was just like, this machine is not even toilet trained. And it just wrecked me. Like, yeah, granted, doesn't need to go to the toilet, but like this machine doesn't even know how to wipe its own asshole. And I just I was devastated. I couldn't believe it. But I guess that's what you get for trying to beat the system. And that's my advice to any young sticky coiners out there. Don't go back to the same self-serve checkout. Wait a week at least. If you live in a country town, wait a year. You don't know how much that shit's been used. Okay, so that was devastating. Anyway, that was probably the low light of this week. It was sucks because it was a real highlight. I was like, man, I just got rid of all of the sticky coins. My console just now has a sticky base to it, but no sticky objects in it. And I should clean that shit. But yeah, that was really embarrassing. And it feels good to kind of pour myself out and vent on the podcast. Really, that's what I just do this podcast for, just to get over my emotional stress. And you know what? Like, again, this goes back to the start of the podcast. That's the worst thing that happened to me this week. Like, that's how wide I am. I got sticky coined, $4.80 worth of sticky coins, and I hated it. And I felt oppressed, and now I know how people in Syria feel every day. I mean, they get sticky bombed, and it's, I don't know what it feels like to be sticky bombed, but probably just as shameful and just as heartbreaking. And I wasn't hospitalized and I didn't die, but I was scared. So if that kind of gives you some perspective on what it's like to be sticky bomb / sticky coin, because obviously it's the same thing. So yeah, I feel ya. People in Syria, my heart goes out to you, and watch out for sticky coins and bombs. God, I'm being a prick today. What did I want to talk about next? Now that I'm done with fat birds and sticky coins. Who listens to this shit? I bet you now this is going to become a new in-joke. Hey bro, got any more sticky coins? You jizzed on any coins lately? That's going to be like my email for the next week. Damn it. So, what do I want to talk about next? What's next on the agenda? I'm looking at my page. Okay. So, as I said earlier, I work at a golf club, and you get a lot of rich people hanging around the golf club, like a lot of affluent, wealthy people, because it's just a sport. It's an expensive sport to play, so it's a sport that attracts wealthy dudes, right? Like, it's literally Memoirs of a White Guy there, but like this 60-year-old edition just walking around. So, I was working, and I noticed that rich people, and I don't think I've ever noticed this before, it's kind of weird, rich people are by far the stingiest people. just like they will be the biggest tight asses. Like there'll be a guy who comes in who clearly doesn't have a lot of money, doesn't have all the equipment or whatever, but he'll have a good day out, he'll buy a couple of beers, he'll give you a tip and stuff, and you're like, wow, what a really nice guy. There's this rich guy, we know he's a millionaire, okay? He has his own golf cart that's got like pimped out wheels, GT stripes, and like alloyed wheels, like a pimped out golf cart that he takes on his really expensive trailer to the golf club every weekend. Like he rides in his own golf cart because A, he's fat and rich, so he can't be bothered to walk. But B, I used to think it was to show his wealth and like, yeah, I'm rich. But now I realized he just doesn't want to pay the higher fees of our golf carts that we have at the golf course. Anyway, what a prick. So I serve this guy, right, and everyone knows he's a millionaire. Like he makes it. The annoying part is he makes it known to everyone that he's like a millionaire. Like he has all the expensive clubs. Like he probably has like a gold-plated driver or some shit that has a button on the end of it that you press, and like a naked supermodel comes out and like encourages you to hit the ball. You're like, oh, if you didn't get the ball in the hole, you can put one in me. Like it's just like a bullshit. It's just a bullshit rich guy. Like his asshole is like an ATM. He just shits cash like non-stop. Anyway, so I served this guy and he wanted a meat pie. Just a plain 4 and 20 meat pie. I was like, too easy, mate. That'll be $3.80. And then he's like, oh, no worries. And then he handed me over $4 and then grabbed... So we're the type... I will admit this is wrong. This is very un-Australian and wrong. But we're the type of workplace that sells little sauce sachets, like the little sauce things that you can buy, the tomato sauce things, for 20 cents. Like you have to pay for the sauce things. But I usually just give them out to people, whatever. But, I'm like, you know what? This guy is bazonkers loaded. I'm just going to see if he can afford this, right? He can afford to pay 20 cents. He gives me $4, right? The perfect amount. $3.80 for the pie, 20 cents for the thing. Surely, he's just going to be like, yeah, I'll just grab a sauce and, keep the change or whatever. Nah. He grabs a sauce, so I didn't give him any change. And then he goes, mate, where's my change? I want my 20 cents. And I'm like, oh, you grab sauce. And he's like, I'm not paying for sauce. And I'm like, it's 20 cents, mate. And he's like, oh. Yeah, you're right, it is. Yeah, it does say that. I'm like, and he tried to get away. He didn't want to pay for 20 cents sauce. Bitch, you have a gold-plated driver. I just wanted to see. And you know what? That's why he's a millionaire, okay? Because every single time, I'd be a millionaire too, but I pay for sauce, okay? I'll be like, hey, there's 20 cents for the sauce. He's probably never paid for sauce in his life. That's why he has his own golf cart and a mansion, okay? I'd be a millionaire, but I'm a dickhead. And I pay for sauce. Rich people are so stingy, and it's bullshit. Like he'll buy a yacht, but won't buy sauce for his pie. What is wrong with you? What goes through your head where you're like, oh, I will drop $2 million on something that might impress a girl enough to get me laid, but I want a dry pie. I'm not willing to pay 20 cents more to just put a bit of delicious moisture of sauce on this pie that's been sitting in the heater for 3 hours. What is wrong with a human brain? Rich people annoy me, and it's not all rich people. You know what I think it is? It's rich people who their parents were rich, their grandparents were rich. They just don't know what being not rich is. So they just and they're stingy because that's why they're rich. I guess they screw people over in business, and they take that mindset of like what they do at their job, which is like being stingy, making sure they get maximum profits, blah blah blah. But they take that into their personal life to the point where they're like, I'm not paying for sauce that is clearly labelled 20 cents. You're a prick, mate. I really hope people from the golf course don't listen to this podcast, because I'd be definitely fired. That's funny. So, tickets went on sale this week to my show. That's a thing. I need to talk about that. Just for Melbourne. Thank you so much to everyone who's already gone and bought tickets. Holy shit. I was not kidding last week when I said, tickets might go quick, especially for the weekend shows and stuff. The shows are filling up really quick, so I'm really happy with it. So yeah, if you haven't already got tickets and you're planning to come to my Melbourne show, I would definitely get on there ASAP, because tickets are going quick, and I'm only doing 6, so this should be really cool. And also, thanks to everyone who's bought a t-shirt and stuff as well with the show. That really helps out a lot, because at the end of the day, I want comedy to be my career and my full-time job. That's what I'm working towards anyway. And every person who buys a ticket is absolutely helping me achieve that, and I cannot thank you all enough. But yeah, I've been putting out free content now for like a year and a half, and which has been so super fun. And but through that, I've obviously had a job. I think people think I make money from like YouTube and shit. I don't make shit from comedy yet, but that's why I have the job at the golf course to support me through all this. But yeah, I mean, it's really cool. I finally feel like after 2 years of doing stand-up and, a year and a half of making online stuff, I feel like I feel like I've finally created something that's worth paying for, that's like worth $20, you know what I mean? Like I definitely feel, because I don't want to charge, like I was never wanted to charge people if I didn't think I was ready, or if I didn't think the product I was giving you, the show was good enough to be paid for. But I'm actually really happy with how it's coming along. And yeah, the bottom line is I can generally not thank you all enough, because yeah, tickets going quick and it's overwhelming the support I've received. So yeah, if you're interested in, if you're planning on coming to my Melbourne show, I would definitely get tickets this week, because tickets are filling up, and yeah, I'm super excited for April. So thank you very much. I really don't have to talk about it anymore. Interstate shows, people have been messaging me, so I'll be announcing them probably late to mid-February, hopefully, and they'll be on sale soon after that. So yeah, if you're from Perth, Sydney, Adelaide and Brisbane especially, sign up to my mailing list, even if you're from other places, because, if enough people sign up, I might be coming there too. So yeah, just sign up to the mailing list, let me know where you're from. And also, actually, it's not a mailing list. Here's the thing. This is pretty funny, because I met some of the people actually at Lewis's podcast on the weekend. They were all concerned that, cause like as soon as they got the welcome email, which you'll get, and I'm not going to spoil it if you haven't got it, and then the first email I sent out was welcome to the cult, and I talked about sacrificing sheep and other things that cult related, and it was like the cover photo was me, like my head photoshopped on a satanic cult priest. Anyway, it was a whole thing, and the people who I met at Lewis's show on the weekend, they were genuinely scared, because they're part of the cult, right? They were genuinely scared that they'd been put on a government watch list. And you know what? They joked about it, like, hey man, like we're probably on a government watch list. Dude, you probably fucking are. I mean, like there's not many mailing lists out there that are actively calling themselves cults. So yeah, if you want to be a part of a government watch list, sign up to my cult. It's a terrific thing to be a part of. You won't get prosecuted, you'll just be monitored. And that's fine. And being monitored, just because you're receiving emails about sacrificing sheep and other stuff, it's a way of life. It's the 21st century now. Things have evolved. We've evolved as a society, and now being on government watch lists is really not a whole big deal. So yeah. Also, before I get into questions, I just want to put out a thank you to my mate Stefan, who did all. I think he listens to the podcast. I don't know. Anyway, even if he does, if he doesn't, whatever. I just wanted to thank him for organising all my website stuff. So if you go on my website, you'll notice that it's all changed. It looks a lot better. He set up all the shows. He's made it possible for you guys to listen to the podcast on there, to buy tickets to my show, and he's made it look really good, and I cannot thank him enough. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Stefan. It looks sick, and there's also a tab of me holding muffins there. So if you want to throw back to a 2013 bake sesh, it's just me with some muffins in my hand, go check that out. And yeah, so if you want to buy tickets to my show, it's on my website, www.lukekidgell.com/shows, and all the ticket information is there. 6 shows are on sale, and I'll bloody see you in April. I'm excited about it, and tickets are selling quick. That's all I have to plug before we get into questions. Alright, now question time. Alright, the first question is from Adrian. Adrian said, hey Luke, love the podcast. Had an idea for a weekly segment. You could do a fun fact at the start of every podcast. Weekly fun fact, it would be called. But before you laugh this guy's idea out of the room, I actually thought, you know what, we'll give it a test run, alright? It mightn't seem like the best idea off the bat, but maybe if we just try it out, it could become the best weekly segment, or the only weekly segment of this podcast. So I thought I'd give it a go. We gave musical instruments a go for a while. Didn't quite pan out, couldn't be bothered to keep getting new musical instruments, but facts are probably easy to come by. So I googled a fun fact, and yeah, I thought I'll just give it a whirl. So this is what the segment would sound like Luke's weekly fun facts, when I just open the podcast and hit a fun fact right from the top. So this is what you'll be hearing next week. Give me some feedback during the week if you think this could continue as a segment. But this is what Luke's weekly fun facts would sound like. Welcome to chapter 20 of Memoirs of a White Guy. My name is Luke and I'm white. And I've got a fun fact for you actually, just to start off the podcast. Okay. Hitler's mother considered an abortion, but the doctor persuaded her to keep the baby. So that's a pretty fun fact for you all. Some guy could have stopped a genocide, but he was anti-abortion. So it's just a bit of a fun fact. Alright guys, next on the podcast is I'm going to talk about skinny birds. So that was what it would sound like. Let me know what you think the fun fact segment could be. I think personally that was a good segment of the podcast. I mean, I think we can all agree that was a pretty fun fact. So next week I'll hopefully come up with, I might have a caterpillar fact or, like another genocide fact. We don't know. It's all fun. So, alright, next question. The next question is from Charlie. This one is not actually a question. All it is, it's an insult worded as a question. Charlie said, "Is it normal to listen to your podcast with your voice set to low pitch?" Now, what that is, that's a dig at me because I have a fairly high pitched voice. If you haven't figured it out already, it's not like I sound like a chipmunk. I just don't have a deep voice. So that's a dig. And also, I'm the wrong person to ask. I have no idea if it's normal. Can you even listen to a podcast at low pitch? I know you can listen to it at like faster. Like you can listen to it like times 1.25 speed. I don't know if you can change the pitch of it, but look, I'm assuming it's normal. I have a pretty annoying, whiny voice. You know what's stupid? I always get, "Oh my god, I love your accent. Oh my god, your accent," from people overseas, and I'm like, you don't know, okay? If you came to Australia, you'd be like, "Oh, that's not a good accent at all. That's a shit accent." But yeah, Charlie's onto it. She knows I don't have a good voice. So, you're going to have to ask other podcast listeners if they also listen to the podcast with the voice set to low pitch. I'm probably not the best person to ask. Anyway, next question. Thanks for that, Charlie, and eat a dick. So, this one's from Mia. "Hey, Luke, massive fan of the podcast. Been binge listening for the past 12 hours just to catch up, and I'm really excited for you to hopefully come to Sydney this year." That's so cool. Thank you, Mia. I appreciate you catching up, and we'll definitely be coming to Sydney. So if you're from Sydney, join the mailing list. So the cult, be on a government watch list in Sydney. Alright, so the rest of the question is, just want to let you know that you're not alone with the Peugeot pronunciation. I only realised it wasn't pronounced Pugot around 6 months ago and found out through humiliation at school. See, this is a thing. See, I put this Pugot joke as well. It's not a joke. It's just a fact about my life that I called Peugeots Pugots for my entire life. I just had no idea. Because I knew the car company Peugeot, but when you read it, it says Pugot. If you pronounce it literally what it says, which I do because I'm a dumbass. I'm literally a robot. That's why I'm, always going up head to head against robots. But it's funny because during the week as well, when I met a fair few of you who listen to my podcast at Lewis's thing, and all people were talking about was fat birds, just skinny birds, clumsy birds, turtles, and they were also like, "Bro, I also thought it was pronounced Pugot," which shows you the demographic of people who listen to this podcast. Dumbasses like me. So, I guess you attract what you offer out. So, it's a thing. People think Pugot, not people, invalids like us think that Pugot think that Peugeot is pronounced Pugot, but actually, in fact, it's not. And I bet you there's a few of you like, "Dude, don't include me in your dumbass club." Okay, I'm not a part. No, you're a part of it. You're listening to this podcast. You're in now, and if you're a part of the cult, you're even like lower in society. So all right. The question. Finally, the question. My question for the podcast is, what's been your absolute favorite / best gig you've done so far? Keep up the funny shit, Mia. Wow, good question. Definitely the best gig would have to be, just from crowd size alone, when I went to Sydney and Brisbane with Lewis. It was like 200 people in a proper theater. It was the perfect setup for comedy. It was the most fun gig I've ever had. The crowd was really warm to me. People getting around my dick jokes, which was sick. And yeah, that was easily the best. But I'd say there's some gigs that you do in like little bars and there's only 30 people there, and it's just super fun. Actually, to answer the question, so that was the best gig, like stand-up performance was done. But honestly, on the weekend doing Lewis's live podcast, that was probably one of the most fun times I've ever had doing comedy. I would actually highly recommend you listen to that. It gets pretty dark and messed up, but yeah, that was super fun. It goes for like almost 2 hours. It was a really fun thing to do, and the audience were warm, and it was just like, it was just in a room with 50 randoms, and they were loving it, and it was great. So anything where the crowd is just completely up for it, and they've come there to see comedy or a comedy thing, is definitely the ideal gig for any stand-up comedian. I think I can speak on behalf of all comics. When you're doing a theatre full of people who have paid to be there for comedy, nothing will ever compare to that, which is going to be cool because, hopefully that will be me one day doing it in my own show. So, that's the best gig I've ever done. And hopefully the best gigs will be my shows this year, starting off in Melbourne. Maybe my Sydney show will be the best show I've ever done. So, Mia might be a part of the best show, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there. So, and also she said, P.S., where's the part 2 of the You Don't Owe Me sketch you promised us? I did say I was going to do a part 2, and I've filmed like half of it. It should be out this week, if not next week, just because I want to add a few more funny ones in it. But it's kind of hard, like, finding the signs I can ignore. I have a few really good ones in mind. I need to film them, and I also need to buy a new pair of speed dealers because I lost my speed dealers that I had in the first one. People don't realize how hard making memes is, okay? It's 9 to 5 every day, just absolutely sweating just from making memes. So that was, thank you, Mia, for the question. All right, this is the last question on the podcast I'll answer this week. Keep sending your questions in at luke.kidgell@gmail.com. Life advice, questions, anything, send it in. I'd love to answer it. So this one is it's from a fake name, Han Solo. No one, I didn't have to explain that was a fake name. No one, also Han Solo's dead, spoiler alert. So he's not messaging in podcasts anytime soon. He said, hey mate, met you at Lewis's 50th podcast thing and have a question that I asked that would be decent for the podcast. Yeah, I remember this guy. I'm not going to say his name, obviously, but so I'm a guy who doesn't have a girlfriend, and this girl has been sending me nudes for the last few months. She has a boyfriend. Ooh, so you're getting nudes off a girl who has a boyfriend. This was very similar to a question that we answered on Lewis's podcast about nudes and the right and wrong things to do, so I'll just give a quick answer. I don't know the boyfriend, but apparently that makes me a dick receiving and encouraging the sending of nudes to me. Does that make me a dick? Cheers, mate. Love the podcast and always keen for the Magic Turtles and Drunk Bird story updates. It's all I get. Talk about drunk birds, fat birds, any type of... anyway. Okay, so to answer this question, you've said, does that make me a dick for receiving and encouraging the sending of nudes? It doesn't make you a dick receiving nudes from a girl as a boyfriend. She's just a slut. Okay, so she's just clearly sending them to you. If you don't reply and you don't initiate it, you don't do anything, and she's just sending you nudes, I mean, you could block her and tell her to stop, but if you just were like, whatever, then, yeah, it does make you a dick. But if you're encouraging her sending nudes to you, so if you're applying and going, yeah, chuck us another tit, then yeah, you're a dick. You're a dick to the guy, man. Like, and it's not really a dick to her. If she wants to send you nudes, she can do whatever the fuck she wants. But you're being a dick to the boyfriend. I mean, he's clearly not. I mean, it might be a great boyfriend with a shitty girlfriend, or he's a dick of a dude. She hates him, so then she sends you nudes to get back at him. Who knows what the story is, but either way, that's not cool to him. It's against the bro code, man. It's not cool. But so yeah, that does make you a dick. Encouraging the sending of nudes, but receiving them, if you're unauthorized, like if you're receiving nudes that are unwarranted and you haven't asked for them, you just like, then I guess, yeah, there's nothing you can do about that other than block them and maybe say, hey, you have a boyfriend, you should stop, which would be the mature and responsible thing to do. But I met this guy, so pretty sure he's just going to keep receiving them. And yeah, so you're a dick. That's the answer to the question. You receiving nudes and encouraging them from the girl makes you a bit of a cocksucker. But at the same time, this dude was a ripping dude, and I appreciate you listening to the podcast. And yeah, also, man, do you really want to be receiving nudes from like that? I guess he does. I mean, or else he would have told her to stop. So, yep, dumb question. You're a bit of a dick, but you're a legend at the same time. He was a really nice bloke, actually. So, yep, thank you to everyone. That's the end of the podcast. Thanks to everyone for listening. And yeah, it was really cool meeting all the people who listen to this podcast like religiously every week. It was great to see. It's so funny just watching the people who I attract. Just absolute bird enthusiasts. Anyway, I've got to head off to work because I'm poor. So yeah, keep buying tickets to the show this week if you want to come, because tickets are going very quickly. And yeah, I'll see you next week, lads and ladettes.